Mariota has won the Heisman.
These are great Ducks.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Great Ducks on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Brought to you by Country Financial Insurance. Protect what matters. And by Pepsi and Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks. Drink Pepsi. Now let's talk some Oregon Ducks greats from the Country Financial Studios alongside Jerry Allen, Mike Jorgensen, and Terry Johns. Here's Joey Mack.
We're going to talk safeties, and we're going to talk linebackers today. And the reason we're doing that, and we'll have to go rapid fire today to get all these different names in, is that we're going to also be preparing for a coaches show coming up. We had planned to do each Great Ducks show on each position group, but with a football season now upon us and just over a month away for kickoff on November 7th. We're getting ready for our traditional coaches show as well, so we're going to highlight two positions today. And also joining us as we introduce our cast of characters is Dusty Herrera from 1080 The Fan again tonight. So it actually worked out really well because Dusty was going to join us for safeties and linebackers, so we thought, well, we'll just put those together for one, and so Dusty's here with us again. So it worked out well for everybody, didn't it, guys? Dusty, how are you?
I'm good. I can't believe you guys let me back. It's good to see you guys again.
Oh, we didn't get to vote on it. I'm just telling you that, okay?
Yeah. You just stay in that little box.
Right. Just in the box. For those of you tuning in on the radio, this is also a video broadcast, as you know. And all right, let's just start, guys. And Jerry Allen, you're going to be up first. We're going to begin with safeties. We know that there are so many different guys to recognize. In fact, the way that we do this is every one of us sends in a list to Scott Phillips and Scott Labounty. They pull highlights. I pull some radio highlights, and we have a lot of fun with it throughout the week. But this week, it took about twice as long, not just because we're doing two positions, but because Terry John's list included like 70 guys. So we're going to try and pare it down, and we're going to make sure, though, that we mention as many different guys as we possibly can because we just don't have enough time in an hour to get through everybody. All right, Jerry Allen, our first Great Duck at the safety position.
All right, thanks, Joey. I'll just highlight again that this is not the best of the best. This is some of the greatest because there are so many that could fall into the category of the best of the best. And one of the guys is a great buddy of ours. We call him Q, Anthony Newman. First guy we're going to talk about tonight. Now, Anthony Newman, he played back in 1909. Jorgie, did he hit you when you were on the field once, and that's why you can't remember anything? He was one of the toughest, hardest hitting Ducks that ever played in an Oregon uniform. Went to the NFL where he had a long career. 2006 Hall of Fame inductee, a 3-year starter, and 1987 honorable mention All-American defensive back, among the first really high-profile in-state recruits of the 80s. From Beaverton, standout at Prep High School, basketball player too. I mean, he could have done it all. I think he probably could have gone and played pro baseball as well. He led the team when he got to the next level, and the next level was the NFL with 3 interceptions his sophomore season. I guess I should say back at Oregon, he led the team with 3 interceptions his sophomore season, 3 picks against Oregon State to end his junior year, and he led the team in tackles for loss his junior year as well. He was a ball hawk. He was tough. He was mean. He just loved the game. But as soon as he crossed that line, he's about as nice a guy as you'd ever want to meet. Anthony Newman, we call him Q, and he's still very much involved in sports and youth sports. High school coach, I think he's a defensive coordinator. Is it Central Catholic? Or is it Central Catholic now up in Portland? Yep. Yeah, I think he is. There he is, number 8. Oh, he was a presence everywhere. I love Anthony that Newman, guy.
Anthony Newman also has, we talk about whenever we do different shows, I got to say, just hearing Anthony Newman talk about football and the passion that he has for football, that's always made me just love watching some of the old highlights of him now, and he still has that passion to this day. Anthony Newman, our first one. That's a great pick. We're going to go, like we said, rapid fire. So, Jorgie, that means you're up next, sir. Who's our next great duck that we're featuring?
Okay, all right. Joey, I thought that was you, but I'll take it from there. Great pick, Jerry. I'll tell you, I can tell you, being out of Oregon when Anthony Newman got there, there's probably a handful of guys in my 40 years or so of being involved with University of Oregon athletics and that came in ready, made to play. An 18-year-old in a 24-year-old body and a 24-year-old mentality. And Anthony Newman was one of those guys. He was just unbelievably physically and mentally ready to play, and it showed not only at the college level but the NFL. I get a chance to talk about Eric Castle. Eric Castle is one of my picks from 1989 through 92, the safety, 6'3", 215, and could play and could run. I mean, the unbelievable speed for that type of size. In 1991, he had an unbelievably tremendous year. First team all-conference, 2 pick sixes, one of them on Drew Bledsoe for Washington State at the time, 18 total tackles against the Huskies in a game. He had 12 interceptions in his career, which is 9th all-time. He had tremendous speed, as I mentioned, instincts. Everything he did was very sudden. Almost like we'll get a chance to talk about Chad Cota here in a little while. When he did things and made things, everything was just a blur. He would read it and would react and with tremendous speed. And had a pretty good career with the San Diego Chargers. I'm sure he's taken a lot of interest there with Justin Herbert playing for the Chargers right now. But again, Eric Castle, Lebanon high school product, played football with his brother Brian in the early 1980s. Eric Castle, tremendous safety at Oregon.
Well,
Terry,
you get
a chance. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Jorg, yeah, you were right. I was going to go next, but I decided that you were more important, so I'll do that again, and Terry gets to go next again, yeah.
Okay. Nice bailout.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Joey. There you go.
Thanks.
Eric Castle, you're talking about him, and he always kind of reminded me of Chad Cota. There were similarities in their size, the way they played the safety position. But Chad Cota, of course, from Ashland, Oregon, uncle of Brady Breeze. His son Chase is a wide receiver at UCLA. And he played 91 to 94, 8 career interceptions, tied for 9th all-time with 336 tackles. And, it's always interesting. I mean, we were talking about the cornerbacks a couple of weeks ago, Alex Bolden, Herman O'Berry, Kenny Wheaton. Well, Cota and Jeff Sherman were the safeties on that gangrene defense. And you just think about how good that defense was and how the Ducks were able to get to that Rose Bowl. That was one heck of a team. He was first team Pac-10 his senior year and voted the team's most outstanding player as well, and inducted into the Oregon Hall of Fame in 2012. Had a great pro career as well. 7th round pick of Carolina Panthers, 8-year career, 15 career interceptions, played with the Panthers mostly, the Saints, the Colts, the Rams, and the Panthers, they're still very fond of him. They recall a play in the end zone that he made that enabled them to continue and make a run in the playoffs while he was there. Chad Cota, I was watching some film today and just watching him come up and smack some people, he and Jeff Sherman. And Oregon safeties for a long time had a reputation that if you came over the middle as a receiver, look out. You saw receivers get alligator arms and their head was on a swivel because the Ducks had a lot of safeties for a long time that would come up and smack some guys pretty good. And Chad Cota was one of them.
Ashland High School.
And that's one of the cool things about Chad Cota and Eric Castle and, those early mid-'90s teams was that you had guys that were from in-state, Jeremy Asher from Tigard. I mean, it was like the I-5 corridor was all represented there on those defenses, which is awesome to see, and it kind of made everybody locally fall in love with the Oregon Ducks. After those guys kind of cycled out, though, I get one of the guys who's one of the original D-boys, and he was not from the state of Oregon. He's from down in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Patrick Chung, a 2-star recruit turned into an All-American and a 2-time All-Conference player. Patrick Chung, to me, was, if you look at him, he was a freshman All-American. He came in immediately. He made an impact. And this is a guy who's 5th in school history in tackles with 384, the highest of any guy in the secondary and a non-linebacker in the all-time tackles list, returned punts at an all-conference level. He did everything But the most impressive thing to me is he was one of those guys who the unheralded recruits for University of Oregon, the 2-star recruit. Nobody really thought he would do much of anything at the college level. He came into the University of Oregon with a bunch of guys who were castaways too, and they became John Neal's D-boys for the University of Oregon. Patrick Chung was a special, special player, a ball hawk and a hard-hitting guy who's still playing in the NFL.
And he was young, too. He was like 17, I think, when he came here, a lot like Panay.
I loved watching Patrick Chung play. He's one of my favorites, if I could. And now, before we take our first time out, it's time for our Toyota Pro Focus. So one of the things that we've done each week is focus on a guy that has a great NFL career. And with all these safeties, there were so many to choose from. But I was like, you know what? Let's do Ugochukwu Amadi. Now, we've talked about him a little bit as a corner, as a returner, but Ugochukwu Amadi, what I want to focus on, guys, and why I think it's such a cool career and a guy to highlight, is he was a 4th-round pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, ended up in Seattle, has had so much success. You can just tell how much he loves football, and all of his stats are impressive, not just defensively, but as a returner as well. But, guys, what I loved about Ugo Amadi when he was here was the type of person that he was. And that's why he won the Lombardi Award. That's annually given to the best college football player, regardless of position, based on not just performance, but leadership, character, and resiliency as well. That award's been given out since 1970, which is pretty impressive. And Ugochukwu Amadi, guys, I just wanted to focus on him for our Toyota Pro Focus because he's having so much success for the Seahawks right now, and what a great guy. And talk about a guy that could do so many different things on the field. He really was a Swiss Army knife for the Ducks. Pro Highlight brought to you by Toyota. Today's the day to contact your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. All right, we got a lot more safeties to highlight, and we're going to get to linebackers coming up as well. Jorgie's here, Terry's here, Dusty's here, Jerry's here. I'm Joey Mack inside the Country Financial Studio. More great Ducks after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Ninkasi Brewing is proud to be an official partner of the Oregon Sports Network. Independently owned and brewed in Eugene since 2006, Ninkasi is thrilled to launch the GOAT Pack, the greatest of all time IPAs, their first all-can variety 12-pack featuring Total Domination Northwest IPA, Tricera Hops Double IPA, Prismatic Juicy IPA, and new and exclusive Juicy Domination Tropical IPA. Find it on shelves now. More information at ninkasibrewing.com.
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar presents an original that's now maybe even better. Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Mary had a bottle of Mountain Dew Zero Sugar with the same refreshing taste as the original, but with zero sugar. Same refreshing taste as the original, but with zero sugar. Same refreshing taste as the original, but with zero sugar. Mary had a bottle of Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. That's taste was as good as the original, maybe even better.
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. As good as the original, maybe even better.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More great Ducks talk comes after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Everybody buckle up. Mom. Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
buckle
can we get some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Joey Mack back inside the Country Financial Studio. Thanks for joining us for Great Ducks. Talking safeties and linebackers with Jerry Allen, Mike Jorgensen, Terry Johns, and Dusty Herrera. All right, we continue on the safeties front. Jerry Allen, who's our next Great Duck?
Well, how about a guy that they could have nicknamed him the Iron Man because you couldn't hurt him, but he could hurt you. T.J. Ward. He was something else on the field. It was fun to watch. He was scary to watch, and he was one of those guys that teams, when they prepared a game plan, they always knew where he was because he had great speed, great anticipation, but he would ring your bell. At Oregon in 2006 as a sophomore, injuries kept him out of most games, so he didn't get to play as much as he wanted to, but the next year he made his mark. Oregon's leader in tackles, 101, tied for 5th in the conference. And you're going to see some hits here where he just hurts people like, oh, man. We felt that up in the booth. As a first-year starter or third team, and honorable mention, Pac-10 all-conference accolades. That's his junior year. Tied for second on the squad with 8 pass breakups. 2009, after returning to the starting lineup, October 31st, after early season injuries against USC, he shared the team lead in tackles in 4 of his final 6 appearances. When he played, he was an area that teams wanted to go away from, and he had a great NFL career. Played his high school ball, De La Salle, drafted in the 2nd round of the NFL, played 8 years in the league, 107 games, and started 99 of them, and you still see him. Cleveland Browns, he started all 16 games as a rookie in 2010 and recorded 123 combined tackles that year. Again, for Denver, March 11th, Ward signed with the Denver Broncos on a 4-year, $23 million contract. Denver said when he was on the field, he was part of their no-fly zone. He was just everywhere, and he left us with some bone-crunching memories like that. Jorgie, he was something else.
Oh, Jerry, he could flat out play. And he's one of those guys where, I know sometimes it can turn people off if you call somebody a headhunter, but that's the way I felt with him. Is it's great when you're on the team of that type of player that anytime you cross the field, anytime you swing out wide, anytime you're going to test a guy like T.J. Ward, he would come up and lay the wood on you. So you got a chance to see it and get a little bit of a taste. I wish you could have heard some of the sound of some of those video highlights right there, because the sound was just as hard as what you saw some of those hits to be. And J.D. Nelson, who I get a chance to talk about, being the next guy, big number 28, a free safety for Oregon from 2003 to 2006, was the same type of physical safety. Maybe not the stats that you rattled off and all the different things that he did over his career and to the NFL level, but 5'11", 220, and it was a big-time hitter, a big-time enforcer, physical every place on the field, would just come at you and unload. 218 total tackles in his career, big interception against Oklahoma in the Holiday Bowl, played against them actually a couple of times, not only in Autzen Stadium, but down in San Diego in the Holiday Bowl itself. And just, again, a big-time hitter. Obviously came from some pretty good bloodlines with Darren Nelson, his dad, who was a tremendous running back for the Stanford Cardinal. Played with John Elway down there. I got a chance to play against him my freshman year, and he was unbelievable, just like J.D. Nelson was. So talk about back-to-back hard-hitting guys, T.J. Ward, and then on the J.D. Nelson. And, Terry, now you get a chance to be able to talk about a guy that was a ball hawk everywhere he went.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say, Jorgie. A little bit different type of safety. And Eric Dargan from Pittsburgh, California, which I remember in doing the pregame shows and talking with Nick Galliotti, who's from Pittsburgh, California, in East Bay. And Nick used to say, I love Nick Dargan because, you come from Pittsburgh, you're one tough dude. And Nick Galliotti certainly is, and Eric Dargan was as well. But 2011 to 2014, he's tied for 6th all-time at Oregon with 13 career interceptions. And he had 7 his senior year, also tied for 6th all-time in a season list, and led the Ducks in tackles and interceptions his senior year, was second-team All-Pac-12. His junior year, he was second-team All-Pac-12 special teams. Had a little dip in the CFL, and then coronavirus. I think he was playing for the Arizona, was it Rattlers? Is that what they were called? In the AAF, the Alliance of American Football, getting the dip. And he maybe, for the NFL, maybe didn't quite have that speed, but man, at Oregon, he just, like you said, a ball hawk. He knew, he could see the play coming, but he wasn't a big hitter, although he made plenty of tackles, certainly. But he had some fine interceptions, some fine plays that really helped the Ducks out. Played on that 2014 team with Marcus Mariota that went and played Ohio State in the national championship game in Dallas. Now we go back to a hard hitter that Dusty's going to talk about.
All of these guys that we're kind of going through here, from TJ Ward to JD Nelson, Eric Dargan, I've got the 4th Northern California safety on this, and there's one thing that Nick Aliotti loved. It was recruiting guys from Northern California, but he's not from the Bay Area. He's from wine country. It's John Boyett, who came from Napa High School in Napa, California. I mean, you talk about a guy that was a hard-hitting safety, a 4-star recruit. He was a freshman All-American, a second-team All-Conference. It's still beyond me how John Boyett was not the first-team All-Conference safety. He had 90 tackles in 2009, 108 in 2011, but he was always in the right spot for big situations and big-time plays. There is no doubt about it that this guy was a big-game player. 17 solo tackles in the Rose Bowl win over Wisconsin. He had 10 in the national title game against Auburn, 10 solo tackles in the Ohio State Rose Bowl loss. This guy came on the biggest times and the biggest moments. John Boyett seemed to be the guy who was always Johnny on the spot for the Oregon Ducks defense. And man, he was so much fun to watch play because of the fact that every time the Ducks needed to play, all these plays are coming in the red zone, right? He's interceptions, knocking balls down or picking the ball off when the Ducks needed those big-time plays the most. John Boyett, one of the all-time Duck safeties, Joey.
You mentioned exactly what I was thinking about, is the 10 tackles in the game against Auburn. I mean, it was just incredibly impressive that he always seemed to show up in a big way. And guys, we're talking about a guy with 10 tackles. Normally you'd think maybe a linebacker, but John Boyett would do it from the safety position all the time. It was pretty darn special. You guys, you mentioned Eric Dargan. Before our timeout, a little tease of our highlight of the week brought to you by Dairy Mart, because we actually were able to find an incredible highlight that encompassed Eric Dargan, a safety, and another linebacker. Maybe everyone's going to remember which one it is, but it was a wild, wild highlight. We've got that for you coming up. We're going to continue with our great Ducks, talk a little linebackers, talk some safeties. It's coming up as we continue from inside the Country Financial Studio on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
What's it like to grow with the O? At OCCU, we support Duck fans each step of the way by educating our youth with Lucky Duck Savings, celebrating independence with Duck Debit Checking, and rewarding members with the Duck Credit Card. That's how Duck fans grow with OCCU. Learn how you can too at myoccu.org/ducks.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Make a trip to the epicenter of Oregon wine country and visit Elizabeth Chambers. Our wines are crafted authentically in an old-world style in one of McMinnville's most historic working wineries. Let our staff lead you through a tasting of highly rated wines. Our newly renovated tasting room is chic and urban. It's no wonder people are talking about Elizabeth Chambers Cellar, now offering private seated tastings. Call us to find out more information or to make your reservation today. Elizabeth Chambers Cellar is open daily from 11 to 5. Find us online at elizabethchamberscellar.com.
You're listening to Great Ducks on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
We're back inside the Country Financial Studio. I'm Joey Mack. We've got Jerry Allen, Mike Jorgensen, Terry Johns, and Dusty Herrera joining us for Great Ducks. So we talked safeties, talked linebackers, and I mentioned our Dairy Mart highlight of the week would encompass both of those positions. You won't necessarily hear Jerry say their name on the call, but you're going to remember it, guys, exactly as we tune in for our Dairy Mart highlight of the week.
Wilson on the snap, back to throw. Sets, looks, way downfield. He's got him, and he's got the catch. That's 20. Kalen to the 10. Touchdown, Utah. Kalen Clay.
They have not taken any shots down the field almost all season long. And in fact, that's been one of the biggest complaints of Utah fans is you're not throwing it down the field.
Something happened. Oregon has picked up a ball off the turf and is returning it. The official running with him. He might have dropped that ball before he crossed the goal line. I believe he might have dropped that ball before he crossed the goal line. They're calling it a touchdown, Oregon. That is absolutely incredible.
Say, as Scott Phillips and I were going through and trying to decide on a highlight, we were like, okay, we got to come up with one that incorporates safeties and linebackers. So for those that don't remember, it should have been 14-0, but instead it was 7-7. Eric Dargan is the safety that recognized that the ball got dropped before the goal line and there was no touchdown signal. Joe Walker is the Duck who picked it up and returned it 100 yards and scored to make it ultimately 7-7. Should have been 14-0. Instead, it was 7-7, and the Ducks go on and win the game. I don't know if it's really like a highlight. It was more, guys, Jerry, just kind of a crazy play that I will never forget.
You know, I don't know why I noticed it because I know Jorgie, Terry, the TV guys, everybody assumed it was touchdown. They were writing, doing stuff, and I'm looking going, I don't think so. Something's going on here. They wouldn't just pick up the ball and run for no reason. I look at Jorgie, and Jorgie looked at me like, what? What are you talking about? And I went back later and listened to the TV guys, and they were completely out of touch. They had no clue. Yeah. So it was a great memory. And later that year, we had a couple of guys that did the same thing, dropped the ball before they went across the goal line too, Jorgie. It was a great but a awkward moment, I guess you could say.
It's one of those crazy plays you never forget, you know. It's like recovering the onside kick against Oklahoma, whether it happened or not. You know, the recovered onside kick against Oklahoma.
It happened.
You know, it happened. Yeah. I agree. It happened.
Show of hands. It happened. Yeah.
But there's a handful of plays you never forget, and that's one of them, you know, where it's like, what just happened type of situation. So, yeah, that was one that was odd. I'm glad you captured all those guys in one fell swoop, Joey, on a video.
Well, we tried. I mean, it was we had a few different ones to choose from, and we thought, you know, this one's going to get a laugh out of everybody. Our highlight of the week brought to you by Dairy Mart and Lockmead Family, the local stop for fresh-to-go lunch, thirst-quenching drinks, and award-winning ice cream. Go Ducks, thanks to Dairy Mart and the Lockmead Family. All right, guys, before we get to our linebackers, time for the Pepsi Player Spotlight. I got a couple guys that I want to highlight, and one is Nick Pickett at the safety position this year for the Ducks. He's second on the team with 126 career tackles heading into the 2020 season, he's going to factor big in leading this secondary. And how about Verone McKinley, a guy that played with so many great defensive backs for Oregon? But remember, he was a Football Writers Association freshman All-American in his redshirt freshman campaign a year ago. Ducks are really, really excited about Verone McKinley. And then at the linebacker position, there's so many different guys to mention. But I just want to say Isaac Slade Matautia because he has maybe the coolest last name in the history of last names, being just Slade. Isaac Slade Matautia, a guy that I think is going to be a huge leader for Oregon heading into this season. Our Pepsi Player Spotlight, always brought to you by Pepsi and locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks, drink Pepsi. All right, as we transition now to linebackers, Jerry Allen is up first, and we kind of went through and decided who was going to get who, and Jerry was just fortunate enough to end up with a guy who, well, he really is truly the embodiment of a great Duck.
Well, this guy played when men were men and boys dreamed one day of being men like this man was. We're talking Dave Wilcox. Dave Wilcox, a special man with a special family. I don't know how much video we have of Dave. Probably some of it's going to come from the NFL. I don't know. But he was born in Ontario, Oregon. I know he grew up in Vail, but he was born in Ontario. When he got to the NFL, they named him the Intimidator, and we found that out at Oregon. After graduating from Vail in Eastern Oregon in 1960, Wilcox began his college career at Boise Junior College. 2 years there before he transferred to Oregon. By the way, at junior college, All-American honors. Wilcox was a guard on offense. This is when men were men. They went both ways. Guard on offense for Wilcox, and then he played on the defense and was an end. Teammates at Oregon included Mel Renfro, Bob Berry. At his senior season in 1963, Wilcox played in the Hula Bowl, Coach's All-American Bowl, and the College All-Star Game the following August. He became, by the way, the first defensive lineman in the Hula Bowl history to earn outstanding lineman honors. I mean, he was a man among men. Wilcox, 65 graduate of the Education Department of the Oregon, 63 played in that Sun Bowl against Southern Methodist. Ducks' first bowl win in 47 seasons. Went on to the NFL. Typical score. The NFL scores their linebackers. They score their team members, all right? And I thought this was interesting. Typical score for a linebacker in the NFL with San Francisco was 750. Wilcox's score in 1973 was 1,306. The seasoned veteran linebacker had 104 solo tackles, 4 forced fumbles, tackled opposing ball carriers for loss 13 times, and he was durable. He missed only one game during his career in the NFL due to injury. Dave Wilcox, the Intimidator. I'll just tell you this, if you ever get a chance to sit down with Dave Wilcox and say, hey, tell me some stories. You've got to have some great stories. And you need a couple of hours because he's going to lead you on some great journeys. Georgie, I mean, we know his kids played for us. He's still a Junction City guy. Dave Wilcox is special.
Yeah, one of those Rimrock savages from the east side of the state, and he played that role perfectly. I mean, not only the type of player he was at BJC over there, and then transferring to the University of Oregon and playing his final 2 years, but to be an NFL Hall of Famer and to all those different things for you, frankly, it gives me goosebumps, Jerry, that you got to start with an NFL Hall of Famer. He was that good. And again, to miss one game basically in a career at that point in time with the way that they played and the lack of protection and the bloody noses and the broken noses and the black eyes and everything else.
No rules. No rules.
He was right in the middle of it and just played some tremendous football. And you go shake the guy's hand, yours disappears, by the way. He's just a big man and gentleman. But at the same time, all those guys, you put the helmet on, whole different guy altogether. So I'm glad you got a chance to start with him. And what a change when you think about the rugged Dave Wilcox to Troy Dye, who started as an outside linebacker at the University of Oregon before moving to the inside. I can't see Dave Wilcox dancing dancing around to shout down the field, right? I mean, can you see him kind of bouncing around on one hand and kind of going around the field? Not Dave Wilcox, that's Troy Dye. A freshman All-American, led the team with 6.5 sacks his freshman year. He's the only player in Oregon history to lead the team in tackles 4 consecutive years. He did it from his freshman year all the way through to his senior year, 397 total tackles. That's third all-time. He led the team 4 years in a row, as I mentioned, 5 interceptions, 15 sacks, number 4 all-time in tackles for loss with 44, a 2019 All-Pac-12 player. He made a tremendous interception. I'll never forget the interception he made against Utah last year in the Pac-12 championship with one hand and a club on the other. And he makes an interception on the sideline, a big strip of Jonathan Taylor in the Rose Bowl. You might not get a chance to see it on some of these highlights here, but again, he played almost the entire game against Washington with a broken hand in last year's big victory up at Husky Stadium. The all-time best shout dancer in Oregon football history and a 4th-round pick of the Minnesota Vikings. He was something else. He was loose as a goose out on the field, but athletic as all could get up. And playing with Isaac Slade-Matautia last year, what a 1-2 combination it was with those guys. Love Troy Dye, love the way he played, but what a difference between Dave Wilcox and Troy Dye, no doubt about it. And Terry, you get a chance to talk about a guy in Peter Sermon who was a tremendous player as well.
Yeah, before I do, Troy Dye, his first game as a true freshman, and he was player of the week, right? Defensive player of the week. And I remember talking to him for the pregame show, and I thought, my God, he talks so fast. I'm not sure what he's saying. He does everything fast. He would go make a tackle. And I think he eventually learned to slow it down a little bit so we could all understand. But he his mind just races. But what a great player. But yeah, Peter Sermon, 1996 to 99. He kind of came in from a Northwestern kid, by the way, not an Oregon kid, but from Walla Walla, Washington. And kind of came in right after Oregon went to that 95 Rose Bowl with Rich Brooks, and Rich went to the NFL, and then he came in right after that, his first year, 96. He's tied for 8th Oregon all-time with 18 tackles in a game at UCLA in his senior year in 1999. Tied for 2nd in a game with tackles for loss. He had 5 tackles for loss against Arizona in 1997. He led the 1997 team with 115 tackles. That's Troy Dye numbers right there. In 1999, he led the team with 109 tackles, and it was all Pac-10 then. Was a 4th-round draft choice by the Tennessee Titans, 6-year career, played 81 games and started 54 and played in 4 playoff games in the NFL. And now he's defensive coordinator, talking about Wilcox with Justin Wilcox, Dave Wilcox's son, of course, the head coach at California. And they were teammates, and now he's defensive coordinator down there. He's been all around Mississippi State, Tennessee, Louisville, some others up at Washington. We shouldn't mention that one, though. Sorry, shouldn't have mentioned that one. Son-in-law of, by the way, former team orthopedic surgeon Don Jones, who retired, last year. And, great family, extended family, of course, with his father-in-law. And was just an outstanding player. Wasn't necessarily a big guy at 6'2", as far as a linebacker, but man, he saw it and he made a lot of tackles. Dusty, who you got?
I love Peter Sermon. You said he wasn't a big guy. I got somebody even smaller. I got Kevin Mitchell, 2001 to 2003, 5'11", 220, but this was the guy that you didn't want to see in a back alley. He had the big old cowboy collar, and he played football with like that reckless abandon that you just got terrified about. I mean, he was a guy that the all-time single-season record holder for tackles for loss, 23 tackles for loss in a season, a 3rd-team All-American, 2-time All-Conference. But this guy was a person that he played with that reckless abandon, and he had that big old cowboy collar. He looked like a loose cannon. but he was in total control of that defense. He was the guy that was always in control and calling the shots of where the defense was going to be, and he had some pretty dang good defenses there. Remember Micah Bellotti saying, when he was getting ready to wrap up his career, that he wished he could clone a guy like Kevin Mitchell, because it wasn't just his play on the field, it was the leadership off the field as well. He was an intimidator on the field. He may not have been in stature, but the way that he played and the style of play that he had, man, he was a scary dude when he got out on the field.
Yeah, the 23 tackles for loss still amazes me. Just a ridiculous amount of tackles for loss for Kevin Mitchell. All right, guys, we got to get a quick timeout. Come back. We're going to talk a lot more great Ducks, continuing with the linebacker position. This is going to be a lot of fun. We still got a few more guys to run through, so stick with us on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
All it takes is one drop to make a wave. One beat to inspire a track. One spark to get creativity flowing. With every drop, Life Water refreshes your mind and restores your body. Purified water, pH balanced with electrolytes for taste. Designed with original works of art on every bottle. Let us be your source of inspiration. Life Water, the feel-good water.
Make a trip to the epicenter of Oregon wine country and visit Elizabeth Chambers Cellar. Our wines are crafted authentically in an old-world style in one of McMinnville's most historic working wineries. Let our staff lead you through a tasting of highly rated wines. Our newly renovated tasting room is chic and urban. It's no wonder people are talking about Elizabeth Chambers Cellar, now offering private seated tastings. Call us to find out more information or to make your reservation today. Elizabeth Chambers Cellar is open daily from 11 to 5. Find us online at ElizabethChambersCellar.com.
You're listening to Great Ducks on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Great Ducks. Up next, Jerry Allen with our next great Duck at the linebacker spot.
All right, thank you, Joey. Our next guy's a big guy, and he was big at this time, 6'2", 235 pounds when he played from 69, 70, and 71. It's Tom Graham. Tom no longer with us. He passed away in May of 2017 at the young age, by the way, of 67. Such a loss. From 69 to 71, he starred for the Ducks on the defensive unit that was often overshadowed, though, because of the other side of the ball. Hall of Famers Dan Fouts and Bobby Moore. But not lost to the facts that from 69 to 71, he became the all-time leading tackler in Duck football history and was a 2001 inductee into the University of Oregon Hall of Fame. By the end of his Duck career, Graham had amassed a school record 400 33 tackles as that linebacker. NFL draft, fourth round pick of the Denver Broncos. He had 7 great years in the NFL, played in 89 games. He started 55 of those, 7 interceptions as well to go along with it. He was a big guy, broad-shouldered guy, and he's one of the first guys I really, really remember as a big inside linebacker for the Ducks. Jorgie, it's fun going back and talking about some of these old guys that we've sort of almost forgotten about.
Yeah, over 200 tackles in a season still amazes me that anybody could do that, but Tom Graham did it. I get a chance to talk about a guy, kind of a tall, rangy, fast guy, Christian Kiko Alonso, 6'4", 242-pound inside linebacker, 143 tackles in his college career, along with 6 interceptions. The 2011 Rose Bowl defensive MVP, great interception in that game of Russell Wilson, laid out, dove out, was able to pick him off. Instincts, anticipation, the ability to blitz and kind of just create his own bit of chaos in the backfield. Seemed like he would shoot the gaps between the centers and guards all the time and just create chaos back there. Teams had a hard time dealing with him. Really love Kiko Alonso, and tremendous player, tremendous speed for a guy that's 6'4", 242 pounds. And another guy, Terry, that had some pretty good speed, you get a chance to talk about.
Yeah, his teammates, they were playing together for a couple of years. Michael Clay from San Jose, California, not as big as Kiko, but those two guys seem to spend a lot of time in the opponent's backfield. And Michael Clay now, he was 5'11", 222 pounds, and currently in his 4th year, by the way, as assistant special teams coach with the 49ers. He kind of followed Kip around Philadelphia, and then at the 49ers, Kip left, and he stuck there. And you just watch there now, that's when Chip Kelly got some airtime, as I think it was Terrence Mitchell caused the fumble in the Rose Bowl, and then it was laying there a couple yards or a couple feet from the sideline, and Michael Clay covered it up, and that was a huge play in that Rose Bowl against Wisconsin. But 2009 to 2012, sophomore year, part of that 12-0 national championship team. But there were a lot of guys ahead of him, didn't play quite as much till his junior and senior year. And was on that 2011 12-2 team with 13 tackles in the win over Russell Wilson in the Wisconsin and the Rose Bowls we talked about. 2012 12-1 team, he had 9 tackles and 2 tackles for loss and a sack in that Fiesta Bowl win over Kansas State. He was second team All Pac-12 that year, and tied for 3rd all time with 20 tackles in a game against Stanford. That was November of 2012. His junior year had 102 tackles. Senior year led the team with 101 tackles. Michael Clay, now an assistant with the 49ers out of San Jose. And Dusty, you've got a guy that was kind of keeping him on the bench early.
Yeah, there's a great run of linebackers in the early 2010s, and it coincides with that vaulting up of Oregon football. And I got Casey Matthews, 2007 to 2010, a guy who came in and started as a true freshman or played as a true freshman for the Ducks in 2007. And he had a great football background, and he had such a high football IQ. His dad, Clay, his brother, Clay, playing in the National Football League. And so you knew he had the genes to do it, but man, when he put it together on the field, it was something special. Steady progression, working his way up, second team all-conference in 2009, and then in 2010 as a senior, he was a first team all-Pac-10 and second team all-American for the Ducks. I mean, a lot impact award finalist and led the team in tackles. Casey Matthews, one of the huge pieces to the great rise in the Oregon football program.
No doubt about that. There have been some great ones, and we've talked about so many different guys, and it's amazing how we've seen just this build and this run that we're currently experiencing for Oregon football. All right, guys, we got to get a quick timeout, come back, and still a lot of guys to highlight. Talking great Ducks, safeties, and linebackers tonight. Back inside the Country Financial Studio after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Oregon fans, if you can hear this broadcast, you're close to a delicious Deschutes Brewery beer, like Wowza, a full-flavored yet crushable hazy pale ale with only 100 calories and 4 grams of carbs. Speaking of Wowza, did you know the term wow is an interjection, an energetic add-on word, like zoinks, yikes, and holy smokes? I imagine some less radio-friendly exclamations fit in there too. Anyway, if you think you need a reason to salt your language, try a Wowza, now available everywhere in the Pacific Northwest. Deschutes Brewery, Bend, Oregon. It comes with the territory.
What's it like to grow with the O? At OCCU, we support Duck fans each step of the way by educating our youth with Lucky Duck Savings, celebrating independence with Duck Debit Checking, and rewarding members with the Duck Credit Card. That's how Duck fans grow with OCCU. Learn how you can too at myoccu.org/ducks.
More great Ducks talk comes after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see? Every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in the back of your closet. What happened to us? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Okay, maybe I never really fit you right, but I got a lot more Sunday fun days left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The Country Financial Studio for Great Ducks. So we've only got about a minute left, so time to start naming guys. Jerry.
How about Joe Farwell? Cannot forget Joe Farwell. 89 and 92, played for the Ducks. The only player in Oregon's history to lead the Ducks in tackles for 3 straight seasons. Way undersized, but meaner than hell. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that right now. Jordan.
I got 2 guys. I got Wesley Mallard, who, by the way, was on Family Feud on Thursday night last week. You didn't get a chance to see him, and he didn't have an answer for any of the questions. But, yeah, our Family Feud. Google 2000 Oregon versus Arizona, the hit on Michael Jolivet. The hardest hit of all time was Wesley Mallard when he hit Michael Jolivet. And then Bruce Beakley from 1977 through 1979. I got to tell you, 360 tackles from 77 and 78. 2 tremendous linebackers right there. Terry?
Well, all right,
we had so many different guys. We're out of time. We had to name so many different guys. Right. We'll do it on Duck Insider tomorrow. You guys are great.
Okay.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the Lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.